Summertime is convertible time. And that's the season for the Porsche Boxster. So just hit the highway and step on the gas. But as car tester Mathis Kurat points out, don't forget that at high speeds on the highway, the Porsche Boxster starts getting a bit jumpy. One notices immediately that it likes country roads much more. So why not exit the freeway? Driving at 200 kilometers an hour with the top down gets a little gusty anyway. Mathis says the Boxster feels much more at home on country roads. There, the mid-engine design makes the driving experience much more agile and much more fun. The advantage of the design is the balanced weight distribution among the axles. But be careful. The warning zone that warns the driver of the danger of swerving is very small as a result. But until you reach that point, the Porsche's cheapest model sits securely on the road without getting uncomfortable. And even sports cars don't have to be taken to their limit every time. Mathis agrees that driving fast in a Porsche is no big problem because everyone knows that's what the car was built for. But driving slowly, that presents the problem of how much gas to give. You can certainly drive slowly in a Porsche, but the people waiting at the roundabout probably think that's kind of dumb, so he'd prefer to drive fast. Of course, obeying speed limits. And in a car that goes from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 5.8 seconds, that might require some discipline in a driver. In our test, the Boxster used about a liter more than the listed 9.1 liters per 100 kilometers. But for this performance, that's acceptable consumption. Mathis says this Boxster has 255 horsepower, so let's find out where the engine is. Not here. Let's try here in the back. No engine here either. But they didn't forget the engine in the factory because this is a mid-engine convertible. That means the engine is located between the back seat and the trunk. Unfortunately, that means you can't see it unless you look closely and try to recognize something through this air intake. Like every Porsche, the Boxster is characterized by the flat front and the high wheel arches, with the headlights placed way on the outside. Unlike the more powerful S version, the Boxster comes with standard 17-inch wheels. Mathis says for some reason the Boxster has the image of being a Porsche for housewives, a somewhat better shopping car. So he's prepared something, and we're going to see how much we can really fit into the two Porsche's trunks. The beginning looks promising, but then that doesn't fit in. The rear trunk has 130 liters of space, but it's quite flat, so that bulkier objects have to be stored elsewhere. And there shouldn't be any problem in the front either, says Mathis. And indeed, another 150 liters of room provide enough space for our big crate. It all fits, Mathis says. In his opinion, a Boxster is just as good as a shopping cart in terms of space, but it looks a little better, don't you think? And not only that, it's also much more comfortable. Where can you get a shopping cart with leather seats? Air conditioning and GPS navigation. And no shopping cart can match this handling either. Precise steering and a lightning-fast double-clutch transmission leave nothing to be desired. There's only one small matter, Mata says. It's a bit troublesome parking backwards because the view to the rear isn't quite optimal. So if you buy this car, you should definitely get it with a parking sensor. That adds a good 500 euros to the Boxster's price, but a new bumper would cost a bit more than that. Mata says he can let the sun shine into his heart, and that the Porsche Boxster has also won a place in his heart. But at the moment, he has to head to the hairstylist and get a decent convertible haircut. With the X1, BMW introduces the youngest member of its X series. The engine palette spans 5 diesels and 1 gasoline-powered model, with rear and all-wheel drive options. Thanks to regenerative brakes, auto start-stop function, and shift lights, the X1 is exceptionally efficient. The smallest diesel with rear-wheel drive uses only 5.2 liters per 100 kilometers. The X1 arrives on the European market in late October. Prices start at 27,200 euros in Germany. Mazda is also beginning to equip its models with auto start-stop technology. The new system, called iStop, is premiering in the Mazda 3 with a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. Thanks to the new technology, the Mazda 3 uses an average 6.8 liters per 100 kilometers, 14% less than the previous model. In Germany from August, the new Mazda 3 with iStop technology, in combination with a manual 6-gear transmission, starts at 22,600 euros. SEAT is releasing a station wagon version of the Exeo, the ST. The Spanish car maker is following the trend in the biggest European markets, Germany and France, that estate versions of cars sell better than the normal sedans. The Exeo ST is based on the former Audi A4 Avant. But the design is new. The rear has large, striking backlights. And up front, the flashy radiator grille. The interior reveals many echoes of its German cousin. The quality is high, with lots of special features from Bluetooth and iPod interfaces to retractable wing mirrors. There is lots of space in the back. And the rear seats can easily be folded down to increase the cargo space from 442 to 1,354 liters. The Exeo ST is the first estate car from SEAT in 7 years. It goes on the market in 3 gasoline and 3 diesel versions. All engines are classed in the low-emission Euro 5 category. A new suspension means the Exeo drives well and not just on smooth roads. The new Exeo Estate 1.6-liter will go on the market in Germany starting at 23,290 euros. With its Kangoo Bebop ZE, Renault is testing its first electric prototype that is close to becoming a serial production car. The ZE stands for Zero Emissions. The prototype Kangoo Bebop ZE is driven by a 60-horsepower electric motor. At the moment, the car only manages distances of 100 kilometers. But by the time it goes into production, Renault says that battery technology advances will give the car a distance of 160 kilometers from one battery charge. Renault plans to introduce electric cars in 2011. Electric cars look set to make an impact in the U.S. as well. The Volt concept car was introduced at the North American International Auto Show in 2007, and General Motors is now in the pre-production stage of the electric car. The first cars will not be available on the market, however. They will be used as test cars to see how improvements can be made. The first commercially available Volts will arrive in showrooms at the end of 2010. TV and car fans around the world look back in great fondness to KITT, the talking car in the Knight Rider series with David Hasselhoff in the 1980s. There's even a German version of KITT.
Ich bin die Stimme des Mikroprozessors des Modells 2000 von Knight Industries, KITT für den einfachen Sprachgebrauch, oder KITT, falls Sie das vorziehen.
This is a replica of the black Pontiac Firebird from the Knight Rider series, and it belongs to Andreas Winkler from Erfurt in eastern Germany. He was fascinated by Knight Rider as a kid. Andreas says that this is a real dream come true for every man. A talking car that possesses superpowers, is indestructible, can fly over objects in its way, and smash through walls without even a scratch. Andreas says the car is something special, something not everyone has. It looks great and is fantastic to drive around in summer, not just a plain everyday car. He did up the Firebird Pontiac with a lot of hard work. Of course, the flashing red light at the front is a must, and the rear is also specially reconstructed, just like KITT. His KITT voice even tells jokes. The interior was designed to match KITT in every detail. It looks more like an airplane cockpit than a car. Andreas says that when you drive around, you see a lot of Porsches or Ferraris, but when KITT drives down the road, heads really turn. He sees the people's excitement. Andreas has had a lot of people taking pictures of themselves in front of it. They're happy to see the hero of their youth in real life. When the weather is good, Andreas drives around. His mission is to keep the memory of the former supercar alive, and the fans love it. This woman says that it was a real cult in the 80s, and a talking car was totally new. He says it reminds him of when his son was 6 or 7 and used to watch the series. And she thinks it's great and says she's never seen anything like it. Much the same for this admirer. He says it simply looks great. And this woman loves all the things KITT can do. Andreas Winkler's KITT replica is one of the most detailed copies worldwide. It took more than 1,000 hours of hard work before he was able to take it out on the road. He's not even great with his hands. Without help from his friend Martin, he would have never been able to convert the Pontiac into his dream car. Andreas says it took 2 years, but they only worked weekends and not every week because sometimes they had to wait for parts to arrive or just didn't have time. They constantly compared the car to the original and kept adding new details. And after 2 years, the car is finally ready for the road. But the authorities put a stop to certain things. The red light at the front is not allowed to be on when driving on public roads. But Andreas and KITT are happy with the results. As KITT says, he's not a prototype. He's a new and improved model. It may have been hard work, but Andreas Winkler's dream of a KITT replica is now a reality.
Auf Wiedersehen, mein Freund.
KITT says goodbye, and he says, "We'll miss us."